Hi, Rich Carrubba for bowlingball.com. You know, you're a highly skilled player and you want to learn how to improve your practice. It makes sense to develop an organized structure. So let's talk about it. Let me give you some recommended tips that I know the top players in the country will use. Many of them do, and will help you as well. First, you want to develop a practice structure. Maybe develop an organized outline or a matrix of all the key components for what you're specifically going to practice. And then after that, I think there's three different keys to the game that you got to focus on in each practice session. Maybe you do them one at a time and devote another practice session to a different element. Physical game is certainly important. The equipment, your bowling balls. And third, lane play. Now, you could arguably develop a little matrix for all three of those elements. Now, by a matrix, I'm talking about try to visualize what a professional businessman would do in a new startup venture. He would develop a business plan. So why wouldn't you have a business plan if you're a highly skilled player and you're looking to improve your skills, get better, and make sure that you get the most out of your practice time? By the way, most of you are paying for your practice, so it's a good idea to try to do so. So you develop a matrix, and maybe under the physical game, you develop four components. Could be footwork, could be one component, and then timing and arm swing, another, and then balance and posture, a third, and finally your release and finish position. Those are four possibilities, aren't they? Now under each of those you could have maybe three categories. Under footwork, maybe the length of your steps and the tempo of your steps and the direction that you walk. Something similar for your arm swing as well. And you go right through. You have three items under each of the four components of your personal matrix. So when you practice, you got 12 elements, and if you bowl for an hour, you've got about 5 minutes to work on just one concept. You practice and you just make deliveries working on one specific component of your game. Now look, everyone knows that if you have your A game or your best game tuned up each time you go to bowl, it's easier to make adjustments and adapt to given lane conditions or different competitive conditions, isn't it? So what you want to do in order to keep your best game tuned up at all times is practice the elements of it. And I think you understand what we're driving at here. Now next, in your bowling balls, you might want to practice making sure that you work with the different surface strategies. Get all your balls prepared with perhaps a certain screening application and polish for drier lane conditions, and calibrate them against one another so you're totally familiarized with when to switch bowling balls on certain lane conditions. You want to practice on different lane conditions too, don't you? Try to practice at your favorite centers where you know there's heavy oil, particularly in the front end of the lane, giving you sufficient ball skid. Or drier lanes when you got it sliding that left gutter for you high rev power players and swinging around the lane. Practice on as many different conditions as you can and calibrate your bowling balls against each other. You also might want to practice with the different surface textures as a highly dulled or textured surface ball. Make them all that way if you can. So what you want to do is, it's totally up to you, but try to make sure that you practice your equipment so it's well rehearsed. You don't get into a rut of throwing your favorite ball in a favorite lane condition, strike at will, and what have you really accomplished? And finally, in your lane play. Now, every player has a certain part of the lane that's favorite to them. So that's where you're best at. You should also practice parts of the lane that you don't see very often, but you might run into a shot or a lane condition that calls for playing a different angle of the lane. If you're a high rev player and you like to slide in the left channel and swing the ball around the lane, fine. Practice that, but also practicing moving right, your feet right, your target left, squaring up, getting the ball to drive down the lane, possibly changing a little hand in the ball. For your direction players that throw pretty straight, little down and in, not many revs, practice sweeping across the lane where you're comfortable playing inside as well as in the ball track or out further right toward the edge of the lane. When I say ball track, just an old habit referring between 8 and say 14 or 15. So what you want to do is get yourself adapted at various angles and comfortable. You do that during practice. So develop a matrix. Don't be lazy. Practice your strengths, not your weaknesses. You practice your weakness, you do them wrong every time, and you master your weaknesses. We don't want that. Do it right, and try not to replicate what you've done incorrectly in the past. Okay, that's our best tips for you. Next, while you're here today too, take some time to search around our website and look at all the wonderful opportunities we have on various purchase opportunities, that is, on various products. And if you find something you like and you're ready to make a purchase, just follow our simple and easy to use online order instructions. And remember, our store is always open, and we sincerely thank you for visiting bowlingball.com.